Good afternoon. Hope you're having a great week. It is Tuesday, March 15th, and it is 12:46 p.m. Let me double check it's Tuesday. It is Tuesday. And so it's just a little afternoon on Tuesday, March 15th. I'm still at home. I've been home for a couple of weeks at this point, I think. I think it's been about 2 weeks. And I'm not sure when I'm going to go back out over the road. It might be a month, it might be 2 months, maybe it'll be 3 months. Who knows? Who knows? I've been working on my taxes all night long, um, so I've got pretty much everything done on my taxes. I'm just trying to get one issue sorted. I had two issues that I had to get resolved before I could file my taxes. One of them was I noticed that the person who did my taxes last year never gave me a receipt for bookkeeping and taxes. So I've been emailing back and forth with her this morning, and she finally gave me a receipt for it. And then the second issue that's preventing me from filing my taxes is USA Truck. USA Truck incorrectly reported my income, and I'm going around in circles with their payroll and accounting department right now to try to get them to fix it. They're telling me that they didn't do anything wrong. So let me try to explain to you um, in very simple terms what happened. And it has to do with my escrow money. And I can tell you right now, if they're doing this to me and they don't think anything is wrong with it, they think they're doing it correctly, then they're doing this to a lot of people. This is like class action lawsuit type stuff. This is IRS audit type stuff. This is a really big deal if they're doing this to a lot of people. So what is happening is they are misclassifying, pay. They're putting pay in the wrong category. So what they put in the wrong category was my escrow money. So USA Truck requires $2,500 of escrow. They deduct that out of your paychecks, $100 a check, while you're working for them until you reach $2,500. And then whenever you quit, they take whatever money you owe them out of the escrow, and then they pay you the remaining balance of your escrow. So for anybody who doesn't know what escrow is basically a deposit. So imagine if you're buying a house and you put an offer down and you put a deposit down with your offer. An escrow, you put escrow down with your offer. That deposit goes into an escrow account. It's supposed to go into the agent's escrow account, the listing agent's escrow account. And if something falls through and it wasn't your fault, you didn't back out of the deal. If you just back out of the deal, then they get to keep that deposit. They get to keep that escrow money. But if something happens out of your control, then they're supposed to give you that deposit back, that escrow money back. You don't go and report that as income. It's like putting a deposit down in an apartment complex, and then when you move out, they give you your deposit back. That's what the trucking companies do for owner operators. I don't know why they do that, because as owner operators, we are probably getting screwed over more than the companies are about getting final payments on stuff. They owe us money, and a lot of times we have a lot of issues getting paid what they owe us. So maybe they should be giving us escrow. But anyway, that's the way that they do it. Landstar does $1,000 of escrow. USA Truck does $2,500 of escrow. But I had only paid in a little over $2,300 into my escrow account. I can give you the exact amount, but it's not really. It doesn't make a difference in what I'm explaining here. So whenever I quit, USA Truck waits 90 days to give you your final check. They wait for all the tolls and everything. They want to wait 90 days so that they can make sure that everything has come in. It's understandable. I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem with was whenever they gave me my final check, which was basically them paying me my escrow money, my deposit back, they marked it as vacation pay, which put it in a taxable income category. And I thought that if I contacted them and told them what happened, they would be like, oh, sorry about that. Let me get that fixed. But that's not what happened. I contacted them and told them what happened, and they said, well, it's correct. That's the way it's supposed to be. No, it's not. That's not how it's supposed to be. So let me put into simple terms what took place. So let's say that I only worked for USA Truck for 1 week. And in that 1 week, I hauled one load that paid $1,000. So on my one settlement that I got from them, they put in my wage of that one trip for $1,000. And then they had a line item in there on the settlement that said escrow minus $100. So they took $100 out of that settlement and put it over here into their escrow account. Then I quit. So I have $1,000 of taxable wages minus $100 into an escrow account. I quit. They send me a check for $100 and list it as taxable income. So now they're reporting to the IRS that I had $1,100 of income while I worked for them, when I only hauled one load and made $1,000. That's all the money I made was $1,000. And they're reporting to the IRS that I made $1,100 because they're saying that my escrow money that they're paying me, that I've already had listed as taxable income, is more taxable income. So I'm paying, they're basically listing my escrow money as taxable income twice. So I'm trying to get them to fix this. It was very difficult to reach someone at USA Truck. I wasn't actually able to reach anyone in payroll. So I called their HR department. Their HR department said that it was accounting that I needed to talk with. So they transferred me to accounting. And then the person in accounting said that, oh yeah, I'm the right person to fix this, but payroll is the one that determines what the categories are for the money. So if payroll tells me that this is supposed to be categorized as something else, then I can change that and I can get everything fixed for you. But payroll has to tell me that I have to change it first. So she contacted payroll, and payroll came back and told her that it was correct and didn't need to be changed. So then I replied to that email and I said, let me tell you exactly what I said. I said, the email she sent to me is, she said, Daniel, I spoke with Amanda and she did confirm that the escrow amount should be included on your 1099. It is taxable income. And I replied and said, no, it is not. If she believes it is taxable income, then she does not understand what escrow is. For her to list it as taxable income, it is having me pay taxes on that money twice. The money was already in my taxable income, parentheses wages, of my settlement. Let me reread that without, the parentheses wages. The money was already in my taxable income of my settlement and deducted into an escrow account. I was then later paid that escrow money. The money that was in the escrow account was already part of my taxable income before it was moved to escrow. I would like to speak with her supervisor. Can you please provide a phone number or have them call me? Thanks. And she replied back and said, Daniel, I have forwarded your information to Mandy's manager and asked him to look into the situation for you. And I have not heard back yet. That was just, that was at 12:28 p.m. So that was like 30 minutes ago. 27 minutes ago. So hopefully her manager is not a moron. I really don't want to go around and round in circles with these idiots over this. This is a really simple thing. And I don't I don't understand what the shit's going on. Like, you marked my escrow payment as so whenever you're a W-2 employee and you quit a company, usually your final paycheck includes vacation pay, unpaid vacation pay will be on your final paycheck. That's what they did whenever they paid me back my escrow money, is they marked it as vacation pay. That's why I'm getting double taxed on this money, is because they miscategorized it. So it's so frustrating. It's so incredibly frustrating. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but the only reason I found this discrepancy was because I do very detailed bookkeeping. I track a lot of extra stuff in my bookkeeping, and the amounts didn't add up. So I have my total amount of money that I made at Landstar and my total amount of money that I made at USA Truck. And on the 1099 Landstar sent me, it matches up exactly with what I have in my bookkeeping. And the 1099 that USA Truck sent me had a discrepancy of that exact amount of my escrow. They reported to the IRS that I made $2,300 more than I actually made. So I'm getting really, really upset about this. It's basically wasting a whole day that I'm spending dealing with this bullshit. But all right, sorry, I was just looking at the email from Gail. I do not recommend her tax services or her bookkeeping services. She cost me thousands of dollars last year. I'm doing my own bookkeeping and my own taxes this year because of how much she screwed up. Her bookkeeping was so bad. There was like 3 months of receipts that she did not put in my bookkeeping. And I didn't realize until after I filed taxes with her, it just, like, none of the numbers added up. None of the numbers seemed correct. Because I had a rough idea. I've filed my own taxes since I was a teenager. I have a rough idea of what my taxes should be. I have a basic understanding of the tax system. And none of the numbers made any sense to me on my taxes. So when I got home, I started researching. And I basically had to go back and do all of my own bookkeeping for for 2020 to figure out where the discrepancies were. And I found that there was like 3 months of receipts that they didn't put in my bookkeeping. And then there was a whole bunch of stuff that she didn't file correctly. One of the things that I caught her on that she wasn't filing correctly was when I was sitting there in her office and she was filing stuff. Like, I've been filing my own taxes for a long time. You know, I'm like 22 years old, you know? I've been doing this a long time. But whenever she was filing my stock stuff, I had royalty trusts that I invest in that are filed on Special Ks because they're depreciating assets. And they come with a pamphlet that's like 100 pages that explains to you how to file those taxes and how to calculate the depreciation, the cost basis, and stuff like that. Well, she just filed them as 1099 divs, like dividend. And she just did instead of doing the 1099K or whatever it was, the Special K forms that she was supposed to use to do the cost basis and the depreciation and all that shit, she just did it on a 1099 div. 1099 divs are really simple to fill out. You just basically put, whatever it is and the dividend amount. That's it. You fill out like 2 fucking boxes. Special K, much more difficult to fill out. And you typically need like a pamphlet to go through to figure shit out and calculate your cost basis and depreciation and all that type of stuff. Well, I tried to point out to her that it's not a dividend, it's a Special K. And she was like, I've been doing this for 30 years. Just because you've been doing something for a long time, that is not a proper rebuttal for doing something wrong. Doing something wrong for 30 years just means that you've been doing it wrong for 30 fucking years. That's not justification to continue doing it wrong. But anyway, so yeah, I highly do not recommend her for her tax services. She just told me whenever I was trying to get the receipt for this, she didn't want to give me the receipt, and she told me that my tax preparation stuff was not. I couldn't write it off as it wasn't an expense that I could write off. Hell yes, my tax preparation fees and my bookkeeping fees are expenses I can write off. This is the kind of stupidity. She specializes in truck taxes, and that's the kind of stupid shit she's telling people. Oh my goodness. But anyway, um, I'm a little bit fired up today. I'm my adrenaline's pumping. I really do not like to get stressed out or to get angry because my adrenaline will start going. I'll start shaking and shit, and like I'll just end up. I can't sit still when I get like this. As soon as I get done with this video, I'm just gonna pace up and down the hallway. I can't stand for my adrenaline to get up because of I just can't sit still and I get shaky and shit. So I'm looking forward to this being over with. Hopefully, I'll be able to finish filing my taxes in the next couple of days. Because if I file my taxes right now, I have to file them against the amount that USA Truck is reporting to the IRS. And then once we get this shit corrected, I will have to refile my taxes with a correction, which would cost me more money through TurboTax and more of my time. So I only want to file my taxes once. So I'm hoping to get this fixed ASAP and then, finish filing my damn taxes. But that's the only thing I've got left. I've got all of my taxes filled out correctly with the correct amount. And I'm just waiting for USA Truck to report to the IRS the correct amount and send me confirmation that they did that. And then I can hit the file button. That's it. All I'm waiting on is for... I don't even have to change anything on my taxes. My taxes already have all the correct information in it. I just need to hit the button to file. So how much do I owe in taxes? Let's go over my money that I made last year. I made $96,000 approximately gross to the business. I had about $4,000 in dividend income. My taxable income, including... So I had a little over $50,000 in business expenses. So $96,000 gross to the business, like $51,000 business expenses. And that put my business income at around 36,000, 35 or 36,000. And my business expenses, that also includes like $8,000 in per diem write-offs. And then you add in the 4,000, 4,100, whatever it was for my dividends. And my total taxable income was like $41,000. And then over on my personal side, I took the standard deductions and, all the there was also, I don't want to talk about every little detail, but basically my total like taxable income after everything was like $20,000, really low. But as a self-employed, you have to I don't want to explain how all the taxes work. I just did it all through TurboTax, and I'll just tell you the final numbers. I owe $7,000 in federal taxes and $1,500 in state, approximately. It's closer to $7,100. It's like $7,070 something dollars, and then it's like $1,485 to state. It's somewhere between $8,500 and $8,600 total that I owe in taxes. So not too bad, but I didn't make a whole lot of money last year. Like I made hardly anything. I didn't make much of anything at all last year. But yeah, that's the situation right now. So as soon as they get this corrected 1099 to me, Then I will file that and send the tax man their money. And I'll pretty much be done with everything. Like, I've already put the truck in the shop and gotten a bunch of preventative maintenance done. Um, I got the DOT inspection done. I sent in my paperwork to Landstar for my maintenance report and all that stuff. I got a bunch of work done on the truck. I've been having air leaks that I've been replacing stuff for air leaks for a month. I replaced 2 or 3 different air fittings while I was over the road, and then when I got home, I put the truck in the shop and told them to fix the air leaks. And in the shop, we replaced like 7 more air fittings, not just air fittings. Uh, it was also, the on the bottom of one of the compressors, that little line that you pull out to release the air, that little thing that sticks out of the bottom of the compressor or the air tank, not the compressor, but the air tank, and it has that line hooked up to it, and it, you pull on it and it lets air out. That thing, we replaced one of those because that was leaking. But every time we would fix a leak, another leak would start up. And it's not like that stuff was leaking before then, because like there was one of them that we had just this little tiny leak, and we found it, and it was, this part over here, and we replaced this fitting. And then after we replaced that fitting, turned the truck back on, then there was this really loud leak over here. That it wasn't leaking like that before then. What it was every time you'd fix a leak, the air pressure would be able to get higher. And every time the air pressure was able to build up higher and higher and higher, then it would cause other leaks to kick off. There are certain things that were only leaking whenever the air pressure was really high. But we ended up replacing a ridiculous amount of stuff over the air leaks. But anyway, enough about that. It is still not fixed. Like, there's still shit leaking air at this moment. It's really, really, really minor air leak right now. I'm pretty sure it could pass a DOT inspection, but I'm going to still keep trying to track down all the air leaks. It is so frustrating. But, yeah, I've got everything's ready to go. After I finish filing the taxes, the only thing that I really need to do to go back out over the road is prep the truck to leave. That's it. And all that entails is like cooking up food and, stocking the truck up with food and doing a final load of laundry. That's not a lot to it. But I don't know when exactly I'm going to go back out over the road. Everything is crazy right now. I'm not sure if I already mentioned this, if I talked about this at the beginning of the video or not. But if I already talked about this, I apologize. But I'm not sure when exactly I'm going to go back out over the road because of the instability and the volatility and the craziness that's going on in the world. Just one part of that is fuel prices. Fuel prices have been rising so fast and so high in such a short period of time that it's causing massive fluctuations in pricing. So fuel surcharge and fuel discounts, whenever the price of fuel is moving, is very volatile, then discounts and fuel surcharge are all over the place. So fuel surcharge lags by a couple weeks. So the fuel prices went up by like $1 a gallon in a week. So that is not really reflected in fuel surcharge yet, because the fuel surcharge this week is based on fuel prices from a couple weeks ago. And then fuel discounts have been bouncing all over the place with the fuel cost going up. My fuel discount for this TA here in Oklahoma City has been bouncing between 40 cents per gallon and $1.28 per gallon. That's a huge variance. So, like, because of all of these things, the amount that I actually pay for fuel has been all over the place. So I'm waiting for things to stabilize a little bit. Hopefully they do stabilize and they don't continue escalating. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, so it's looking more and more like it's just going to continue escalating until we end up in World War III. But I'm not going to rant and rave about the stupidity and the craziness and the propaganda of the Democrats. Like oh my God, they're going around trying to tell everybody that the fuel prices have nothing to do with them. Now, yes, the Ukraine invasion had a dramatic impact on fuel prices, but we were already dealing with near all-time high fuel prices before that because of the Democrats and their war on fossil fuels. And they're trying to claim that their war on fossil fuels doesn't have anything to do with energy prices. Oh my goodness. But that's the propaganda they're running around preaching right now. But what is all the craziness going on in the world? For anybody who doesn't know, India and Pakistan hate each other. They really, really hate each other. Everyone in the Middle East hates Israel. Israel pretty much hates everyone in the Middle East, especially Israel and Iran. Those two are bitter enemies. North Korea, South Korea, they're not bitter enemies. They are like split up families and stuff. They love each other. North Korea and South Korea love each other. It's just Kim Jong-il or Un. I don't know which one we're dealing with. I can't remember. I think it's Un is the current Kim Jong that we're dealing with. It's just a dictator. That it's just him. He's the only problem. If the people had any say in the matter, the two countries would reunite and they would get along great. So they don't like hate each other or anything like that. But North Korea is a hot point in the world. China and Taiwan, bitter enemies. And then, of course, we have Russia and the Ukraine situation. These are all really, really, really hot points of contention that could bust out into war at any time. India and Pakistan are nuclear. They're both nuclear armed countries. And they hate each other. India accidentally shot a missile into Pakistan not too long ago, last week. Russia has been bombing within 10 miles of the Poland border, which is a NATO ally. Iran, within the last week, fired missiles into Iraq. Like a dozen missiles. I can't remember the exact number, like 5 to 12 missiles. They fired them in. We're not sure what in the hell they were trying to hit, but they came really close to a brand new U.S. embassy in Iraq and also an airport. We're not really sure what they were trying to hit, but they didn't do much of any damage. They didn't kill anybody that I know of. Not that I know of. They didn't kill. I'm not saying that they didn't kill anybody I know. There's a big difference. that of completely changes. They didn't kill anybody I know. I know of. I don't know of anybody that they killed. But yeah, there's a lot of tension in the world, and there's a lot of hot spots in the world. And we have put on a show of weakness because we have a lot of naive idiots running our country, and they're under the impression that if you're nice to a bully will be nice to you. And that's not the way bullies work. Bullies pick on weak people. If you don't fight back, or if you're an easy target, that's who bullies go after. If you want a bully to stop bullying you, you have to stand up to them. And you have to display some form of strength, some fortitude. And that's not what we're doing on the world stage. And a lot of these countries out here are run by bullies. Like Putin, he's a bully. And we're putting on weakness. One of the like, it's something they're probably going to be talking about in the history books as one of the worst diplomatic gaffes of all time, was Biden going out months before Russia invaded Ukraine and telling Russia exactly what we would do if they invaded Ukraine. He didn't say the standard line of all options are on the table. That's showing strength. What he said was, if you invade Ukraine, we're going to sanction you. That's the equivalent of telling somebody that if they rob the bank, we're going to fine you $1,000. All right. It's time to rob a bank. Like, that was like one of the biggest diplomatic blunders of all time, was Biden coming out and saying that. I don't know why they did that. Like, did they... Anyway. So yeah, we're living in some really, really, really scary times right now because of the people in power throughout the world. You know, the Putins, the Z's, the Xi's, or how you pronounce the CCP, the Communist Chinese Party leader. The Bidens, all these people, ruling throughout the world are leading us. Like, do I want a nuclear war? Do you want a nuclear war? If you talk with the average person in any fucking country, do they want to go to war? Do they want to have a nuclear war? No. It's these people that rise, these narcissists, these sociopaths that rise to power. They're the ones that want to go to war. And like we have a lot of I don't know, it's frustrating. It's really, I can't believe we live in a world where so few people are in control of the fate of billions. I hope that this does not continue escalating. And I think that almost everyone in the world hopes that this does not escalate. You know that there are some people out there with mental illness, or they're just stupid, and they think that, oh man, if nuclear war breaks out, I'm finally going to be able to not have to go to work, and I'm going to be able to live my best life just surviving off the land. These preppers out there, prepping is not a bad thing. I'm a prepper. I'm not saying anything bad about prepping. I'm just saying that there's a certain small percentage of the prepping community that's mental. And they think that if an apocalyptic event happened like nuclear war, that would finally give them the freedom to do whatever they want. No. That's not the way shit works. These people that think that an apocalyptic event is going to be something that's going to provide all this freedom to them, to allow them to go do whatever they want and live their best life, they don't understand what it's going to be like in an apocalyptic scenario. If we have a worldwide power outage due to EMPs or, coronal mass ejections or whatever, or we have a major catastrophic war breakout, that any type of societal collapse situation, mainly anything that knocks out the power grid, will lead to societal collapse. Any type of scenario like that, you have a breakdown of infrastructure, you have a breakdown of industry. You're talking about, like, you go read anywhere, 90% population reduction. 90% of people will die within a year. And what do they think it's going to be like? They think that they're going to be able to, like, they think this is like a video game or something. It's going to be like The Walking Dead, where they just form up a gang and they just, they go and they go gather stuff and then they go hang out and they're like, oh, those people on The Walking Dead, they're stupid. They do things you shouldn't be doing. I would do it better. It's not going to be like The Walking Dead. You're going to be hiding in your fucking house, and there's going to be people walking up and down the street with weapons, and you're going to be hoping that they don't try to get into your house. And if they do, there isn't anything you can do about it aside from fight them off. Try to fight them off. And I'm going to tell you right now that anybody that thinks that, oh, I can deal with that and everything, That is one of the most terrifying situations you can possibly be in. And you're not going to win every time. And there's not just going to be one person try to get into your house. And if you try to go out and bug out and, live off the land, how many hundreds of thousands of people have that idea? You're going to be constantly running into people out there. And they're going to be desperate. They're going to be hungry. When people are on the verge of starving, they're dying of thirst, those types of things. When people are desperate, they do desperate things. And that is not a place that anyone should ever hope to be. That is not anything anyone should ever hope for, to be in a societal collapse situation, because the worst thing that you can encounter in a societal collapse situation is another person. And even if you don't have to deal with other people, you're going to work really, really hard to keep yourself alive. You're going to be, I don't care how much you're working right now, you're going to be working harder to stay alive in a societal collapse situation. That's what you're going to be spending all of your energy doing, is trying to find food and water. And fighting people off, if you ever do find food and water, from taking it from you. So, anyway, yeah, unfortunately there are people that look forward to apocalyptic situations because they think it's going to be like the movies or a video game or some shit like that. And I can tell you right now, those are the people that if they're ever in that situation, they're going to be shitting their pants, because reality will hit them very quickly on how bad it's going to get. I hope that nothing ever happens like that in my lifetime. But man, with the way things are escalating, they're talking about cyber attacks. EMP weapons are they're the first strike weapon now. I don't know how many people are aware of EMP weapons, but we discovered EMP weapons in our nuclear weapon testing. But now we have an EMP is a natural effect that happens with nuclear weapons. But now every country has developed non-nuclear weapons. I mean, you can also make a nuclear weapon and design it specifically for EMP, but you can make a non-nuclear weapon an EMP weapon, and they're much more powerful. Like, they are really, really incredibly powerful EMPs. Like, one weapon could knock out power to the entire United States. Well, not the entire United States. It couldn't hit Alaska and Hawaii, but it could hit the entire contiguous United States. One weapon. And that's considered a first strike weapon. And Russia considers EMP weapons to be exactly the same as cyber or electronic warfare. They don't consider it to be like a normal attack. They don't consider it to be like a missile attack or anything like that. It's not that level of severity. So Russia, there's talks of, if we may not even need to cyber attack Russia. There are a bunch of, like, the anonymous groups and stuff like that. People are over here cheering on Anonymous and these other hacking groups because they're attacking Russian websites and stuff like that. That could be seen as a provocation by Russia. It's hard for Russia to tell if those are state actors or if they're just some random unaffiliated group. So that could be misconstrued as an attack from us against them that could escalate out of control. So I'm not really a big fan of groups like Anonymous, going out and doing stuff like that. It's just there's just so many things going on in the world right now, and it can easily escalate out of control. We're increasing the number of troops we have up along the Russian border. It's just everybody. We're right now, we're dealing with slow escalation. Supposedly, Russia is already at DEFCON 2. And the rumor was that we went to DEFCON 2 to match them, but about a week later, our government came out and said that we have not increased our nuclear readiness to match Russia, which is stupid because we have nuclear weapons as a deterrent. And if we are not increasing our readiness to match our adversary's readiness, then that's not a deterrence. It takes a long time to fuel missiles and launch them. And if Russia is like ready to launch their missiles and it's going to take us 6 to 8 hours to launch our missiles, Russian missiles could hit us before we could launch. That's the position we're in right now, is Russia is at DEFCON 2. And I'm not sure what we're at, but rumor is that we're at DEFCON 3. It's classified. We're not going to know until after this is over with what our nuclear readiness is. But this is the type of stupid shit that our politicians are doing that is really dumb, and it's putting us all at risk. Like, they think that, well, if we don't match their nuclear readiness, then it won't provoke them. No, matching their nuclear readiness is, that right there is mutually assured destruction. If we don't match their nuclear readiness, that gives them the thought that, we might be able to wipe them out before they could launch. So, like, there's so much shit going on in the world right now, and I am just so fucking pissed off at the leadership in our country right now, because they have got us as close to World War III as we have ever been. I still am not sure if we've surpassed the Cuban Missile Crisis, because during the Cuban Missile Crisis, their launch orders were given. They had a submarine that was going to launch a nuclear torpedo. And who knows how that would have escalated out of control. But they had a submarine that lost contact. It was U.S. ships were dropping depth charges on it, and it drove it down to a point where it lost communication, and it thought that World War III had broken out, and they were going to launch nuclear torpedoes. And 2 officers, the commander of the sub and one of his officers, both agreed to launch nuclear weapons. But there was like a staff sergeant or something like that just so happened to be on the sub, and he disagreed. He was a high-ranking officer that was not part of that submarine. He was like the staff lieutenant or something for the entire fleet in that area, and he just so happened to be on that one particular sub. If he was not on that sub, then those 2 people that did approve the launch order, that's all that it took to launch, was those 2 people. But because that high-ranking person happened to be there, then it required his approval as well, and he objected to it. That's the only reason they didn't launch. That's the closest we have ever been to World War III. I don't think anything's happened yet that has surpassed that in this current climate, but we are damn close. And there's a lot of stuff that happens that they don't tell the news about. We might have had some extremely close calls that we're unaware of right now. Whenever you have, all this stuff going on that we have going on in the world, there's the potential for things happening constantly. So, and they don't report to the news every time something happens. So there's a lot of things that aren't found out ever to the public, or they're found out 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later. But anyway, yeah, I don't know how long I'm going to be home, but hopefully I get my taxes filed today. And I'll tell you right now, I'll deal with taxes. I'll deal with, people on the road that don't know how to drive. I'll deal with dumbass brokers and agents and all the rest of that crap. I'll deal with people taking their 30s at the fuel island. I don't like all that stuff, but I'll deal with that rather than deal with a societal collapse situation. It would not be better in a societal collapse situation. So anyway, I think I'll end the video there. I've done enough ranting and raving. And yeah, I don't follow a lot of people on YouTube, but I've seen some YouTube videos popping up of people talking about stuff that I've been talking about in my videos. Trucker AK, I watched a video of his recently, and he just parked his truck at the house, doing exactly what I'm doing, waiting out this instability, and he's starting to contemplate becoming a company driver. He didn't say he was thinking about doing it, but he said with the rates the way they are and the fuel prices the way they are, these 85, 90 cent per mile company driver jobs are looking really tempting for owner operators. Just park the truck, go become a company driver for a while. And I'm sure that's going through the minds of a lot of people right now. But yeah, there's still a bunch of idiots that are claiming that these high fuel prices are good. You go to the trucker subreddit, and there are morons on there like, man, I hope the fuel prices keep going up because, man, I just keep making more money on this fuel surcharge. Like, are you retarded? Like, literally, are you retarded? Like, there are people posting shit like that. Like, there are people that are disconnected from reality. And somebody asked the guy who is posting that nonsense in the trucker subreddit, like, are you a company driver? And he's like, yeah, I'm a company driver. Like, why the fuck are you posting on here? Apparently it was a company driver that's paid percentage, and he was in there in a bunch of owner operators were talking about the fuel prices, and he was in there like, oh man, I hope it keeps going up because I just make more and more money. And all the other owner operators are like, what? How are you set up that you're making more money in this market than you were before? And he was like, the fuel surcharge keeps going up, blah, 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 all this stupid shit. And then somebody finally asked him, was like, are you a company driver? He's like, yeah. Like, what the fuck, man? It's like, imagine a bunch of people with, certifications and degrees and decades of experience and, nice careers, a whole bunch of, financial advisors or something that just got fired from Lehman Brothers when they went out of business. And they're all sitting around talking at a restaurant, trying to figure out what to do with their lives. And then somebody comes over and sits down and starts telling them all how they need to, you need to do this, you need to do that. And, you're everything. And they're all like, oh man, yeah. What should I do? And then the guy walks away and they're like, man, I wonder what he does. Then they find out that he's 30-something years old. He lives with his parents and he works at McDonald's. That's those are the people we're interacting with on social media. Those know-it-alls that are coming in there and posting all this stupid shit. These are people that should not be giving advice. These are people who have failed miserably, but they think they know what everybody else should do. Anyway, I should stop ranting and raving. I'm a little worked up. My adrenaline's going with this whole USA truck situation. I'm pretty pissed off about it. But I'm gonna try to relax, and hopefully I'll get this tax situation resolved today. But I hope you're having a great week, and I hope that things start de-escalating in the world. I hope that happens, but I'm not really, with the leadership we have, I don't have a lot of faith in de-escalation. I'm just hoping that it doesn't escalate. Now, one of the things that is going to happen is China is going to invade Taiwan. That's guaranteed to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen. And their weather window to invade Taiwan is March to October. So we just started the weather window to invade Taiwan. Because from November to February, the weather is so bad in that little China Strait or whatever in between Taiwan and the Chinese mainland. It's really hard to move ships around in there and do amphibious landings and stuff because the weather is so bad. Gale force winds constantly. So we're in the weather window, and I suspect that China probably would be invading Taiwan right now, given the world situation. But Z or Xi or whatever his name is due for some kind of review. I'm not sure how the Communist Party works, but he's due for some kind of review this fall that's going to determine what his next term is or whether he's replaced or whatever. They're going to make a decision on what to do this fall. And I think that he's probably not going to want to rock the boat between now and then. If he invades Taiwan right now and it turns into a quagmire, then he could get replaced this fall. But if he just rides it out, lets things stay as is, they can give him like a 35-year or lifetime term, and then he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. He can invade next year. So, luckily, he, Z or G or whatever his name is due for a review at the end of this year. And that's probably the only reason that China is not invading Taiwan right now. And it's unlikely that they're going to invade Taiwan this year. So we got that going for us. We have another year until China invades Taiwan. Oh my goodness, I have no idea how badly that could go, because we gave assurances to Ukraine that we would intercede on their behalf if anyone invaded them, if Russia invaded them. We explicitly told them that if Russia invades you, we will come to your aid. And we didn't. We've given Taiwan the same assurances. So who knows what's going to happen? Because I don't know. We're just looking really weak on the world stage, which is empowering these sociopaths and narcissists that rise to power in these dictatorships. So yeah, we live in some terrifying times. I would. It would be nice if we had a presidential election soon to get this leadership out, because I don't know if we're going to be able to last another 2 years without World War III breaking out. That's a long time, but who knows? I don't know, man. This is some scary shit. But anyway, hopefully everybody's having a good time. Wish you the best. Bye.